What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and as you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about the Edmonton Oilers and Peter Chiarelli. Now, before a lot of Oilers fans, or even Peter Chiarelli fans, get on me for this, I'm not saying that the Oilers are done completely, they're never going to come back to how they were last season. I'm just saying, for this season and possibly for the future, I don't know if it's, we can't predict the future, but I'm going to be looking at, did Peter Chiarelli kind of ruin the Oilers? And that has to do with moves that he made. And I think a lot of people will agree with me that there are some very questionable moves that he made. And we're going to look at mostly trades in this video because the signings that he made, obviously one big signing that could have really costed the Oilers and might cost them into the future is Milan Lucic. Now, I can't even lie, when they signed Milan Lucic, my initial reaction was, okay, this could work, this looks good. And, one season in, it actually didn't look too bad. The Oilers looked pretty good. Lucic was fitting in. But now the deal just looks bad, and moving forward, I don't think it's really going to help them, especially since this year the McDavid and Draisaitl contracts kick in, which people could argue that he paid a little bit too much for Draisaitl. But there was a little bit of rumblings to the fact that there might have been an offer sheet on Draisaitl if he didn't make a move soon enough, and he did sign Draisaitl, so he did lock up his two biggest stars in McDavid. I mean, you're going to have to pay him out anyways. He's arguably the best player in the league. So when it comes to signings, I didn't want to mention too much because I just wanted to go through the trades because there is a list on a website. Again, you're going to see me looking down because I need to make sure I'm getting all the stats correct. But NHLTradeTracker.com, and you can go through all the history of trades made by every specific GM in the league. So I'm looking at that. But yeah, just to go back to the Lucic thing, that could be one of his worst moves, if not his worst move. But I think a lot of people might consider some of these trades I'm going to bring up his worst moves. And it's not good because there is some trades that he won, but there are quite a few that he lost. Forgive me if I don't get some of the draft picks or player names right. There is a ton of information here, a lot of players that didn't really pan out or are still waiting to pan out if they ever do. So we're going to look into that stuff. So I'm going to go through the history starting at June 26, 2015. The trade that he made first was Griffin Reinhart, who he acquired from the New York Islanders for a 2015 first-round pick and a 2015 second-round pick. Now, this is a trade that is going to haunt a lot of Oilers fans for a pretty long time, and I'm not sure if a lot of people who don't follow trades or draft picks closely understand how bad this trade really is. Griffin Reinhart was pretty young, he still is, but the Oilers figured they might find something there. Now, if you actually on this website click on his name, it'll show you how he did throughout his time with the Oilers and everything like that, and how many points he put up. He never really did anything with the Oilers, and to be honest with you, he hasn't done really much in his career so far, which kind of sucks. I believe he's currently in the Golden Knights system. I could be wrong there. But the 2015 first-round pick ended up being Matthew Barzal, and we know how good he is now, so that's clearly not a good trade. And the 2015 second-round pick, I believe Garth Snow packaged that and picked up Beauvillier. And what we do know about that trade is the fact that they gave them two pretty good stars. Beauvillier, if that's how you say his name correctly, I could be wrong again. Beauvillier. Hopefully, Islanders fans, you can correct me, but I know he's very good. I have watched him and Barzal, and of course, another trade I'm going to get to later, Eberle. We've seen that the Islanders got a bit better scoring this year, and of course, Barzal is fantastic, but that trade just looks awful. I mean, you can't just give up two picks like that for a guy who, first of all, was supposed to be something and was unproven. Chiarelli definitely goofed up on that one. So that trade is going to haunt Oilers fans for a long time. The second trade that I'm going to talk about is when they acquired Cam Talbot and a 2015 7th-round pick. They traded with the Rangers, who they got him from, a 2015 second-round pick, a 2015 third, and a 2015 7th. So obviously this was the year that they got McDavid, so they were really gunning for it, so they figured bringing in Reinhart would help. Talbot to get you a solidified starting goaltender, and to be honest, this trade actually is a win for the Oilers. The prospects that I looked up from this trade haven't really panned out yet. Obviously, they still have time to do that, still fairly young. So we'll have to see down the line if that trade actually does go back to haunt them, but I don't think it will. Talbot was really good for them last year. He had a bit of a rough year this year. He's probably gassed. The team plays him quite a lot. Not really his best year, of course, but he will probably still be a very good goaltender, and I know they just signed another goalie from the KHL, I want to say, Koskinen, I think. I could be incorrect, but I don't know if he's going to try to take over Talbot's job. People are saying that it could be the fact that they'll battle over the job. Again, I could be wrong. But that trade is probably a win for them. Then I believe the same day as the Talbot trade, they made a deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs. They sent over Marincin and Brad Ross for a fourth round pick. The Oilers acquired that. Again, this isn't a huge trade. Marincin didn't really do much for the Leafs. Still with the Marlies doing pretty good. Brad Ross, I haven't checked too much into his stats, but I think that it was probably a good move looking at it right now. Just nothing too crazy. So this was just a regular trade, to be honest with you. Another trade that worked pretty decent for the Edmonton Oilers, if you ask me, was the Gryba trade. Again, nothing too crazy. They acquired Eric Gryba for Travis Wanek. Again, could be saying that incorrectly. And a 2015 fourth round pick. Again, when I looked into that, didn't seem that there's anything too big coming out of that trade, so nothing there. On June 30th, 2015, the Oilers acquired Lauri Korakowski. Again, these names are crazy. They traded away Boyd Gordon. Pretty decent move. He was only with the Oilers for 1 year. He scored 10 goals. I think he had 22 points, according to what this says. So I would consider this a win if you want to look at that. Anders Nielsen to the Oilers on July 6, 2015 for Liam Coughlin. Kind of a nothing deal. Nielsen hasn't really panned out. On December 28, 2015, they acquired Zach Kassian for Ben Scrivens. Scrivens for quite a bit. Obviously, being a Leaf fan, I've seen him play very well for the Marlies. Played good for the Maple Leafs, almost took James Reimer's job, technically kind of did, even though he shouldn't have. Played some really good seasons, not with the Oilers though. They kind of were okay with him for the first year. I think he played 22 games with them, and then the next year he was their starting goalie. Obviously, we know the jersey toss incident where he threw it back over the ice. They didn't really have a good season, of course. Again, I could be incorrect looking at that. The 2015 draft was definitely something that the Oilers made a lot of moves around. And, of course, like, how could you not when it's the Connor McDavid year? They wanted to at least try to solidify moves, and they made a lot of moves in 2015. But, yeah, that Kassian deal worked out for them. He was a very important piece to their team. Of course, the team probably would have been better had McDavid hadn't got injured, but Kassian was a good piece for them in their playoff run as well. The next trade they made was Philip Larson going to the Canucks for a fifth-round pick in 2017. Again, nothing too crazy there. A trade that a lot of people probably don't like as well is what they made on February 27th, 2016, when they traded Justin Schultz to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a third-round pick. Now, Schultz has been very good for the Pittsburgh Penguins, so you can look at it two ways, but I think that this is a good move. They got a pick, but Schultz just wasn't working as well as they wanted to in Edmonton, and of course he was a good fit and still is with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So another move they made on the exact same day was trading Teddy Purcell to the Florida Panthers. Again, not a huge move. They picked up a third-round pick for that, so acquiring picks, getting rid of veteran forwards, you kind of have to make those moves. So, as you can see, there was some borderline bad moves. Of the Schultz one, I guess you can kind of consider that. The Kassian move was pretty good, but so far, so good, except for that first trade, the trade that they got rid of Barzal and Beauvillier. Possibly, of course, if they made those picks with those players, but of course Snow made the second trade to acquire Beauvillier, to acquire his pick. The next trade was trading Anders Nielsen to the St. Louis Blues for a 2016 fifth and Nicholas Lundstrom, who hasn't really panned out to anything. Again, Nielsen hasn't really panned out as well. So kind of a nothing trade, I guess. Nothing too crazy, at least. You always make a move to try to make something happen, and obviously Chiarelli does that. Nothing too crazy there. The next move that he made was February 29th, 2016, when he acquired Patrick Maroon for Martin Gernat and a 2016 4th-round pick. Now, forget what the Ducks got. Maroon was a huge piece to this Oilers team. This is a really good deal. Obviously, Oilers fans are probably happy with this move, and the time that he was with Edmonton, and there's still a possibility this summer he could come back. This is a good move. They picked him up. They wanted to make sure they got some more beef in their lineup, and Maroon was real good for them. The next trade is a trade that a lot of people do not like, and I didn't like it from day one. June 29th, 2016, they acquired Adam Larsson from the New Jersey Devils, and they got rid of Taylor Hall. What is the biggest issue with the Oilers right now? They can't score. They don't have enough guys to play with McDavid. Taylor Hall plays pretty good with McDavid. I'm pretty sure this move shouldn't have happened. They got Larsson. It looked good for a little bit when they made the playoffs, and they said, oh, look, Larsson's going to be great for this team, and he still can. I mean, we're looking at these moves now, but it's hard to believe that you're going to match what Taylor Hall just did. He had an MVP type of season. He's really coming into his own. He took over as a star player, and it looks really bad. And I know there's been, contract situations and not enough money. Well, that's on Chiarelli as well for the signings he's made, including the Lucic one. You're handcuffing yourself. You might have to end up trading Nugent Hopkins as well this offseason because of money issues, which is really stupid unless you get something really good back. But this Larsson for Hall trade is still bad. I didn't like it on day one. I kind of went back on my word saying, oh, they made the playoffs. It looks okay, but I was never satisfied with this deal, and you can see throughout my videos, I still do not like this move, and it's really bad. It's going to haunt Oilers fans for a very long time. The next move he made was trading Yakupov to the Blues for Zach Porchiro and a 2017 conditional 3rd-round pick. That condition was it becomes a 2nd-rounder if Yakupov scored 15 goals. So Yakupov didn't do much in St. Louis. He had a good start with Colorado, but again, didn't pan out. Yakupov is a sad story, if you ask me. I know I was told by multiple people that he was insanely good in junior, and I've seen only some of it, but I know people that seen him live saying that he flew all over the ice. He looked like the #1 pick, and unfortunately it never panned out. Bad pick on behalf of the Oilers. They had to move him. They got a pick back. I'm surprised they even got as much as they did because he didn't really ever pan out. Still hasn't, and I don't think he ever will, unfortunately. Henrik Samuelsson for Mitchell Mraz. This was a trade they made between themselves and the Coyotes. Again, nothing too big. David Desharnais for Brandon Davidson. I mean, I guess both teams got what they wanted to. Can't really diss them for that. Not a bad deal. Justin Fontaine for Taylor Beck. They made that trade with the New York Rangers on March 1st, 2017. Again, kind of a nothing trade. This is the next big trade that you have to talk about, and it's June 22nd, 2017. Jordan Eberle for Ryan Strome. So Strome is definitely not at the same caliber as Jordan Eberle. A lot of people could describe this as a salary dump. The Islanders got the better player, regardless of how they did, if they didn't make the playoffs, whatever. Eberle is the better player. Again, the Oilers have trouble scoring. Eberle can score, but Chiarelli knew that he had to clear out some cap and take a risk by taking a player that could pan out to something, but he never did, and he still hasn't. And again, next season, even if he scores a little bit more, I don't think that matters as much. You got rid of a guy who is consistently going to get you 20 to 25 goals, in my opinion at least. Let's just take a look quickly at his numbers. As you can see, well, as I can see, sorry, but since the deal in 81 games, he had 25 goals and 34 assists for 59 points. And if we look at Ryan Strome, he had 13 goals and 21 assists. So he stepped it up a little bit, but again, that's not a good move. You cleared out about $4 million of cap, but you did not replace Eberle's scoring touch at 25 goals. Not a good move. This is a deal that I actually liked. November 14th, 2017, trading Jokinen to the Kings and acquiring Camilleri. He had 22 points in his time with the Oilers. Not too bad. Again, kind of a bottom line, bottom 6 trade, but worked out pretty good for them. Another kind of nothing trade, in my opinion, Greg Chase going to the Florida Panthers for future considerations. Al Montoya, that they picked up a decent backup for a 2018 conditional 4th-round pick with the Montreal Canadiens. And another trade that they just picked up a pick. We don't know how it's going to work out. February 24th, 2018, they acquired a 2019 3rd-round pick for Brandon Davidson. So they trade a lot with the Islanders, and if I'm Garth Snow, I'm always calling Peter Chiarelli because he's going to keep giving you stuff. But again, we'll see how it works out. The Islanders wanted a defenseman, nothing too crazy. We'll see if that pick ends up being something good for the Oilers or if they package it together for another trade. Another trade, they traded Mark Letestu for Pontus Aberg. Again, just a trade to try to help both teams. Sometimes you have to flip players just to see if they'll work out somewhere else, so you can't really hate them. And then a trade that they had to make because they were not making the playoffs. They traded Patrick Maroon to the Devils for J.D. Dudek and a 2019 3rd-round pick. Now, we'll see if Maroon ends up wanting to come back to the Oilers in the offseason. It would be cool because I think that they need Maroon, if you ask me. Money situation might be tight. Maroon was pretty decent with the Devils. So, he obviously, as you can see throughout these trades, some of the signings that I mentioned, I don't know if we can clearly say yet if he's ruined the Oilers. This season, if they don't have a good year, even if they're not good towards the first half of the season, Chiarelli's got to be out of there. And they're going to have to find ways to score this year. They're going to have to go after players. And you know what's crazy? Chiarelli might have to make more moves. And I don't know if Oilers fans are ready for that. They might end up trading Nugent Hopkins. If they do that and that trade doesn't work out for them, Chiarelli has basically ruined this team. Having McDavid and Draisaitl locked up, good. Okay, you kind of have to. Those are star players. Signing Lucic, bad move. Trading Eberle, bad move. Trading Hall, terrible move. His first trade acquiring Reinhart for what ended up being Barzal and Beauvillier, bad move. So he's made a ton of really bad moves. Some of these moves have worked out, like the Talbot move, Cassian picking up Maroon. He made some good moves, but it's been overpowered by players leaving and having really good seasons, and some of them, you know, going to the playoffs and still providing offense that the Oilers desperately need. So let me know down below, Oilers fans and all NHL fans, what do you think of Peter Chiarelli? If you want me to do another GM or another team, let me know. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Love to have more hockey conversations with you. I'll see you in the next video stream. Peace.